this is Sarah Jones, Cycle 3, Week 14. We started off with geography, so I had the kids sitting at the table and we played geography splat. So if you don't know what geography splat is, you just take a tiny little piece of Play-Doh rolled up in a ball and you just say 1, 2, 3, splat, and we always call out whatever we're learning about. So we put the little Play-Doh at like the Cascade Mountains and we say 1, 2, 3, Cascade Mountains. And the kids love this, so it's always a big hit when we play geography splat. We're also learning a song for all the mountain ranges called, or to the tune of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. So we sang through that and we just pointed to the different mountain ranges while we sang. Next we did Latin. For Latin we're doing a song to, it's King's Things, and it's on YouTube. I will put the link down below, and it's a really catchy song. The kids are doing really well learning it, and so we sing it through in Latin and in English, and we're doing hand motions. So far they have been all ASL hand signs, so and they're very repeated because a lot of the same words come up in the scripture, and obviously the Latin and the English are equivalent, so it's just been pretty easy for the kids to learn the hand motions as well. So I'll go ahead and show you the hand motions for this week. Same is a Y hand shape, and you just point it back and forth to the two things that you're comparing. So same. Next is was, like in the past. Put your hand over your shoulder. Beginning, you could take your pointer finger and you put it in between your pointer and your middle on your other hand, and you just twist. So that's beginning. And then with, you just bring your two hands together. So your two fists together for with. And then God, you just do, you put your thumb on your forehead and you just bring it down to your chest. So God. So we did hoc erat in principio apud Deum. The same was in the beginning with God. So that was Latin. For math, we did a song to the tune of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, that one. And it's a pretty fast song, and so we learned it last year, so some of the kids already knew it, which was nice. And we talked about running a mile, and I asked if anybody had run a mile, and we talked about how that was the same thing as 5,280 feet, and I made a big deal about that if anybody had ran a mile. And so for that, I had the kids take turns running as we sang it. So we just did one at a time because otherwise it would be mass chaos. So they just took turns running around the table a couple times, and they really liked that. For English, we were conjugating the verb to break, and the song I picked out on CC Connected was, it was really fun. It kind of sounded like a DJ, like mixing or like scratching on a turntable. And so I happen to have these records from a rock and roll theme party that I helped decorate, and so I thought this would be perfect for this week. I already had them made, so it was no extra time on my part, and I just took a little screw, I think it's like a Melissa and Doug tool set or something, and I just put it there. I got a piece of paper, and they were able to like kind of pretend to be a DJ and kind of move their record back and forth while we sang the song. So they loved it. It was really fun. Hopefully they were listening to the song while we did it, but they had a lot of fun with that. History. Obviously we learned about the tycoons, and it was a lot of names, and I kind of wanted them to learn a little bit about each of these men, and so we did hand motions, but we just did hand motions for the 4 men, and for Vanderbilt, he was famous for the steamboat industry, and steamboat or paddle boats had these big paddles on the back of them, and so we just made a paddle for Vanderbilt. For Rockefeller, he was famous for the oil industry, so we did a car. For Carnegie, he was famous for steel, particularly steel that built a lot of the railroad tracks, so we just did 2 hands straight out for railroad tracks. And then Swift was famous for the meat packing industry, so we kind of like made a patty and then we smushed it. So Swift. So for that we did tycoons like Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Swift fueled the nation's industrial age by developing American resources. And so we just kind of did the money symbol just because I wanted them to remember that these were wealthy men that contributed to these different industries in America. So then we went on to science, and for science we're learning about elements, a periodic table. Many of them had never even seen a periodic table. I'm not sure if any of them had, so I just printed these out for each of the kids so that they had a context for what we were talking about. And I showed them the location of elements on the periodic table. And then I found a really fun song on CC Connected that it sounded like, someone performing, and there was a violin in it, it was a really pretty song. So I made these little violin bows out of paper. I just rolled them up and put a couple pieces of tape on them. And so I just had the students pretend like they were playing the violin while they were singing. And then I had one person go up in the front of the room, and this was also a microphone. So they belted it out while the other kids in the class played the piano or violin. I think they were a little shy on this one, and so none of them got really into it. I was hoping, I did it a little bit later on because I was hoping it would kind of, they would feel a little more comfortable as the day went on, but they were all pretty shy, but it was still fun. It was a fun song. Let's see, for timeline, we actually didn't get to timeline. We do it in our opening announcements several times through. And so if I run out of time, I don't feel quite as bad because we've already covered it several times in announcements. But I did still feel bad that we didn't get to it, but we just ran out of time. But I was planning on, I just had written different, emotions on a die, and nervous, scared, excited, happy, sad. We were just gonna roll the die, and we were gonna sing timeline in those different voices. So that was new grammar. For hands-on science, we did the probability with the, and I think we might be switching them. I think maybe that's the next 6 weeks for most of you, but we're doing them now. We just had the kids pick out different poker chips, and we tallied them up on a chart and converted them to fractions. We talked about sampling. It was definitely a little over their heads because I have 4th to 6-year-olds, but it still, worked out okay. I think they understood the gist of what we were talking about. So that was hands-on science. And then for fine arts, we did Pablo Picasso, and it was really fun. I had taken pictures of all of the kids in CC last semester, and so I still had those pictures, and I had converted them to more like a coloring page for my body projects that we did last semester. And so I still had all those faces, and so I just printed those out for all the kids, and they were able to color their own faces, and then cut them up and put them on a black piece of paper. And our director also got little buttons and yarn and things like that they could glue on top if they wanted to. And so that was fun. Some of the kids were very wary about cutting up their faces. They did not feel comfortable with that, so some of them just left them whole, which was fine. But I kind of encouraged them to have fun with color, so some of them did red faces or blue hair or green ears or, something like that. So I think it was fun because the kids could kind of be expressive, and there was no right or wrong, and they could just do whatever they wanted to. So I think that was pretty freeing for a lot of them. And then for review, we played bingo. I'll put a link to this in the comments too, but you can make your own bingo cards on a website. And so I just did, weeks 9 through 14, all the different subjects, and it just randomly generates, 30 different cards or something. Of course, we only needed 8, but I just let the kids take turns picking one out of the bag, and then they marked it, and I asked them a question. So it worked out pretty well. And then we played a little game that one of the kids had presented about in their presentation. So they were all really excited about the game, so we were able to play that while we did review questions too. So yeah, that was it for week 14. Thanks for watching.